Fentanyl is probably the most common opioid you'll use in your anesthetic practice. It's a synthetic phenylpiperidine derivative and is an agonist at the mu-opioid receptor. Its properties make it an excellent opioid for use at induction of anesthesia, among other indications. Fentanyl is 100 times more potent than IV morphine, so 1 milligram of morphine is roughly equal to 10 micrograms of fentanyl. In the anesthetic room, you'll find it's usually presented as 50 microgram per mil, and usually in 2 mil ampules, although larger ones are also available. Now I'm going to talk about the pharmacokinetics specific to fentanyl and how they relate to its usefulness in anesthesia. Generally speaking, the unionized fraction of an opioid at physiological pH, defined by its pKa, is directly proportional to its speed of onset. However, despite being only 9% unionized at a pH of 7.4, fentanyl has a reasonably rapid onset, from about a minute after IV injection, with peak effect at around 2 to 3 minutes. This is because it's very lipid soluble and so crosses the blood-brain barrier very easily. And it follows that because of its high lipid solubility, fentanyl has a very high volume of distribution. That means it rapidly redistributes to peripheral body compartments, so has a relatively short duration of action, even though it's actually excreted from the body much slower. But with prolonged infusion or repeated boluses, these peripheral compartments become saturated, and so its duration of action then becomes more prolonged and determined not by redistribution, but by elimination. So how is fentanyl eliminated? Well, it's metabolized in the liver before renal excretion, and the metabolite norfentanyl is not active. This short duration of action and no active metabolites make it a good choice as an alternative to morphine for patient-controlled analgesia in patients with renal failure. Another advantage fentanyl has over morphine is that it causes less histamine release and therefore is more cardiostable. You'll likely see very large doses of fentanyl being used at induction in cardiac patients to keep propofol requirements to an absolute minimum. So there's fentanyl for you. Try and bear this in mind while we compare it to other opioids.